Hello, this is Wendy Perrin with Dance Magazine. Welcome to Choreography in Focus. We are in Gus Solomon's studio, and our guest today is Doug Varone. Hi, Doug.
Hey, Wendy, how you doing? Good to be here.
Doug, before you were a choreographer, you were a dancer, and you danced with the Lamone Company and Laura Lubavitch.
Right.
What did you get from both those dance artists?
In looking at Jose's work, what I felt drawn to was the humanity of his vision, and the fact that he represented male dancers, as flawed objects. I loved that.
Flawed but majestic.
Absolutely. As a young choreographer, I was very drawn to the way that he moved groups around. As a young child, I used to move quarters around and pretend that they were items or people or things. So it made a great deal of sense to me in terms of the architecture of how he moved people through space. And I saw the same thing in Lara's works. So all of those items felt as if they were greatly connected, from Lamone to Lubavitch, and then I think, in essence, a lot of my work as well.
I can see that now, because with Lamone, there is this architecture, and with Lar, he moves the architecture
Absolutely.
more. It starts to be more liquid, and yours takes it further and sort of fractures that architecture and spreads it all around.
Great. I'm glad that makes sense.
And you've worked with incredible scores. I mean, like the Prokofiev in Castles. That could really sweep you away.
Yeah, I think I chose that work because I didn't think I could choreograph to it. So I set that challenge upon myself. It's sweeping, it's romantic, it's in 3/4 time, and it has so many connotations for so many people.
And another music that you've used recently is the trombone concerto.
The Christopher Ross trombone concerto.
Yeah, which also has a kind of bombast to it, but it's more sort of irregular.
Absolutely. It set up this incredibly eerie world that made sense to me.
I think what it creates is a beginning that's very sort of ominous. And you're kind of waiting for something to happen, and then when it happens, it's like cataclysmic.
Yes.
And I think that mirrors, in a longer way, your phrasing. And let me just say that Doug's phrasing can be very quiet, but then it can be very explosive, and you don't really know when it's going to happen, but when it happens, there's an organicness to it. So one question is, how do you make that organicness happen when it's not building in a traditional way?
I follow my instinct. It took me a very long time as a choreographer to figure out how to take those tools that I knew and know and throw them over here and let them still be, in the room, but to understand that the organism of how we move through life is what needed to push my work forward.
One thing about your work that I think has gone in a different direction from Lamone and Lubavitch is that it's multi-directional. That I feel like you're having dancers initiate from all different parts of their body, almost all at once. Like this is a shoulder, and that's a hip, and this is a knee. And so how do you get dancers to do that? I mean, do you really work with them so that they can be able to do that?
I do, actually. We play a lot of games in the studio. I use a lot of devices to create material, both for myself and with the dancers, building certain motifs that intertwine, bringing a dancer through space, adding another one, adding a third, adding a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, so that the framework of how these bodies moving in space are completely interconnected. I like building group work that's complex.
I see that too. It's very complex, and there are many lines getting echoed. But sometimes I feel you're almost allergic to unison. You'll have all this complexity going on, and then maybe two dancers will be in unison for only a second, and then it separates.
But for me, I totally hear what you're saying. But what I love about those 2 minutes is that I feel like it's that organization that all of a sudden gives the chaos an aspect of clarity.
So last year you decided to do a solo.
I did.
And what came out of it was The Fabulist, which is kind of a storytelling thing.
Yes.
And what was it like for you to come back to stage and use your own body as an instrument.
It was absolutely horrifying. I received this offer from the American Dance Festival last year to create a solo on myself as part of an evening of 4 solos created by 4 choreographers of a certain age.
Oh.
So it was myself and Stephen Petronio and Shen Wei and Ron Brown.
Oh, nice.
And it was a beautiful, beautiful evening. But as soon as I said yes, I started regretting it because I realized the amount of discipline it was going to have to take in order to get me back to where I wanted to be.
Well, I noticed about that solo that you face front a lot, you face the audience directly a lot, even though of course it's very multi-directional. But there was a sense to me that you wanted to tell the audience something. There's a song with words, and I remember hearing the words.
David Lang, beautiful David Lang score.
Yeah, and there's one point in the words where it says, "Listen to me."
Yes.
And you're like talking to the audience and doing all these things. What did you want to tell the audience? What did you want us to hear?
I feel as if the solo for me is about the storyteller in all of us.
What do you look for in a dancer?
It's interesting you asked that because I just held an audition for 500 people showed up.
Oh my God. Well, your movement is so delicious that I think a lot of dancers are drawn to it and want to do that.
First I look for people who understand that. I look for dancers who, first and foremost, understand the style, even if it's not in their body, but they have a sense of how we move. I look for people. I look for dancers who are people. I look for dancers who are musical. I look for dancers who understand who they are. I look for dancers that have information that I don't. I look for dancers that are mature, even though they might be young, but they have an old soul. I don't like to spoon feed when I'm in rehearsal. I move very quickly, so I look for dancers that pick up fast. I look for really nice people.
Well, Doug, thanks a lot. It was really great to talk to you about your work.
Thanks, you too.
And tell us about the thing you have coming up this summer.
We are going to be at the American Dance Festival down in Durham, North Carolina. And those dates are July 24th and July 25th. And we'll also be touring throughout New England in the fall. So look for us.
Thanks again. Thanks. Have you tested?
It's snowing. That was a
think
good one.
that was
I think it was much better.
That
Yeah.
popped.
Yeah, it popped.
There's some energy
It rocked.
there.
Yeah, okay, cool.